Hello guys, my name is Evans and welcome to these tutorials. In this tutorial, I'm gonna be talking about access forms. I've received some requests from a number of students asking me to make a video on access forms, and so I'm gonna just be talking about access forms and how you design access forms. What are some of the key things that you need to put in place as you're designing access forms? Um, and also I'll demonstrate a practical example where we'll look at access form and how to import a CSV file into access program and then convert the table into an access form. Okay, so what I've done is that I've come up with a CSV file. Let me just open it Notepad. I've come up with a CSV file which I'm going to import into my Access program, and then out of this we're going to create a form, and then we're going to do some little features, add some features onto this form, just to make it presentable and stuff. So I'm just really I was trying to find out or come up with a question that I could relate to from the exam, but I couldn't find any question about this. But what I did was to just investigate what is required of you, even as you learn how to handle access forms and stuff. So what I'm going to be talking about really is just how you deal or how you handle access forms and stuff. So I just enjoyed this lesson, and I hope it will be very helpful in your exam. So let's start up our Access application. Start a blank database, and I'm gonna erase this table. So just delete the table. Rather, let's close it first, and then yeah. So I'm gonna import the text file from the one that I just created, the student database, student DB, and we're going through the step of importing. I think this one shouldn't be an issue, guys. We've done this in a couple of videos, so I'm just going to rush through this so that I don't spend so much time on this, otherwise the video is going to be long. So next, and then first row contains field names, and then advanced. If there is any data type that needs to be changed, this is the place where it should be changed. So look at the data that I have. First name, rather student ID is an integer. That should be fine. And then um, first name is short text, last name short text, English short text, math short text, and then science short text as well. So this should be fine. Okay. I'll say okay. Then next, and then choose primary key, and I'll choose student ID as my primary key. No two students can have the same ID. Okay, then next, and then finish. Okay, so close. Right, so now I have imported my student database or student DB, and this is what I have in this one. So from here now, this is where now we're going to create a form. So usually when you're dealing with exam questions, they'll ask you up to this point to import the file, change the data type, okay, and if there is need, even make a query before you even make your form. Okay, so but this process should be simple because this is what you are used to up to this stage. I mean, you guys have been working so hard and studying so hard up to this stage, so I don't expect you to have issues at this stage, but for a number of you from this stage now, picking up how to deal with forms, that's where it is now a little bit a challenge. So what I'm gonna do is just to go through how you can create a form in Access, and then how you can manipulate the form and deal with the data, and how you can add controls and other things onto your form to make it professional. Okay, so I'm gonna close this and go to create, and then now in the past we've been going to query wizard, report wizard and stuff. In this case now we are dealing with a form, so what we're supposed to do is to go on to form wizard. Okay, so you, when you're creating a query, you go to query wizard. When you're creating a report, you go to query report. Not that you can't go to report design or form design or query design, you can. There are students who are very good just by going straight and design a query from query design, or design a form from form design, or design a report actually from report design. That is very much acceptable, and I find that easy as well. But for the sake of the majority out there, we usually go for the query wizard or the form wizard or the report wizard. That takes you step by step on what you're supposed to do, so that you don't really get to have all these ideas cluttered in your mind, and you really don't know what you're supposed to do or what to start with first and stuff. So using a wizard actually helps you go step by step. Okay, so I'm gonna go for form wizard. And under form wizard, what you're supposed to do actually here, you look just the normal stuff like the way we've been dealing with queries and reports. You will see that you have your tables and queries here. Okay, so you have a list of tables that are there. Now guys, I must state here that there are two things that are involved here. You can have a student a table. You can have a table, then you can have also a query. Now if you are talking about relational database where you have multiple tables connected by links, okay, you must be very careful when you are selecting which of those fields are supposed to be shown in the form. Okay, remember this is a form wizard, and you must be able to select which fields should appear on the form. Okay, there are at times when you are allowed to create a query at first. Okay, before you even go to form wizard, you create a query, select all the fields that must be visible on the form in the query, and then once you do that in the query, then you can go ahead and go to form wizard, and then under table here, when you come to this icon here, you click it, you will see that the query will be part of the list that will be there, and then you can select the query there, and then build this form based on the query that you created there. I hope this is clear here. If I find an example time to do that, I may demonstrate what I'm talking about here, where you have multiple tables, relational tables, or a relational database, and then you are required to select fields which are coming from both tables. Okay, some fields are coming, let's say two fields are coming from table 1, and then 3 fields are coming from table 2, and these fields, we know they are connected by a relationship. Okay, so we can create a query, okay, where we extract 2 tables from table 1 and 3 tables, rather 2 fields. Why do I keep on saying tables? Fields. We extract 2 fields from table 1, and then we also extract 3 fields from table 2, and then merge them, or have them, the 5 fields, in a single query, and then build a form based on that query and not on the table. Okay, so that is very important for you to know. In this case, I'm just gonna select because I only have one table, student DB, and these are the fields in the table, so I'm just gonna select all of them and go to next. Now here, what is important is for you to understand which one is which here. So the usual one that we by default is columnar. You also have tabular. Okay, then you have a data sheet. Okay, and you have just find, and you get a little idea of the appearance of the table or the form as you do that. For example, under datasheet, you will see that you have the labels there and the labels there and the text boxes inside there. Under there you have the labels on top and then the text boxes inside. Under justified, you have the labels on top, text fields, labels on top, text field, labels, text field. The yellow part here is text field, and the orange, I don't know if it's orange or brown part here, is supposed to be the labels. Okay, but in this case we want to go with this one so that we have labels on the left and then the text field on the corresponding right side. Okay, so hit on next, and then this is where you want now to put the title for your form. Okay, it's not mandatory that you have to put the title on this form from here, because you can also edit the same place, or you can leave it blank here and then put the title in the form itself when you begin to work on it. But it's just gives you the feel of reports, I mean forms. When you put the title there, you know, you already know what you want to be creating and stuff. So let me just say this is going to be a student database. So my title is going to be student, let's say database. Okay, and then click on modify form design and then click on finish. And so there you go, you see it's saying here student database. Okay, so now this is the first thing that you guys are presented with when you finish dealing with the form wizard. Okay, at this stage, your form is basically complete, so to say. There are three things that you can do. When you go to view, you can view your form. Okay, and you will see that the form is there. I have student database and then student IDs, first name, last name, English, maths, and all these fields, they are already populated. So if you scroll down, rather if you go to the right, you will see record 2, Jane. Okay, go to the right again, you will see there will be another record. There are supposed to be about 10 records in total, and yeah, there's supposed to be 10 records in total. The first button here, this is called the navigation pane or panel. Okay, it's used for navigating between records. Okay, so you may have multiple records. Like in my case, I have 10 records, and so the first one here shows the first record. So if I click on it, it goes back to the first record. The last one here shows the last record. If I click on it, I go to the 10th record. Okay, this one, previous record. So if I click on it, it takes me to the previous record. Okay, this one takes me to the next record. Okay, and this one here is for a new record. If I want to add a new record, and I'll show you in just a while how you're supposed to do that. Okay, so that is under form view. There is also what is known as layout view. So layout view is a powerful feature in form design as well, in that you can move around your objects so that they are aligned in a way that you would want them to be aligned. Okay, I can drag, for example, this and drag it in the center and drag all these objects, move them around and stuff, and really it's just showing me how it's going to appear in the document. But for now, I don't want to play around with layout, so I'm just going to undo that. And the other view that you have is design view, and we'll be working with design view. So design view, this is where you're going to edit this work and really create most of the stuff that is required of you. For example, you're told to put your name, your candidate detail on your form and stuff, and this is where you're going to be doing all this work in design view. So on the right panel here, you have a property sheet. Okay, so property sheet, this is where all the attributes for all these objects. So all these the objects here all these items that we see on this form, they are called objects. Okay, so if you click on any of these items, each of these items have got attributes, and which are known as properties. Okay, and you can edit each of these properties in the right pane here under property sheet. Okay, so you have format, data, event, other, all, and in most cases format is what you need for you to work on most of the things that will be asked of you in the exam. Okay, so I'm not going to waste time explaining what each of these properties is, but as we use some of the properties, I'm sure you will get an idea of where to find what. Okay, so the other thing that you should know is that under tables here, you will see that just below tables you have forms, and then you have the student DB here, which is the table that we imported. We imported from the CSV file, and then you have the form, which is the one which you've just created using the form wizard. So anytime you want to go back to the table or go to the form, then these are the two options that you need to check out there. Okay, so I've explained the navigation down here, as well as the views that you have in forms, and then where you find your form also listed here. Okay, and sometimes you can find that your navigation this side, navigation pane, is hidden and you don't see anything. Don't worry, just click here and you have your your navigation back. Okay, all right. So now, I don't have particular question really asking me to play around with this database, but there are just some things that I want to highlight as we go on, so that we are able to come up with something very positive that we can use to be able to do. So what I'm gonna do, guys, is to um, go through some of the key features that you're supposed to have in designing forms. Now, guys, this is a very powerful thing that you should take note that even in the exam, not only does it appear in the practical section, but there are some concepts that are required of you to know in the theory part of the exam. So I'm going to just highlight some of the things that I expected of you. For example, if you talk about data capture forms, input screen forms, input or output screen forms and stuff, the knowledge really is coming from things like these ones, okay, like access forms and stuff. So you really need to know how you design these forms, what are the advantages of designing good forms, how do you design a good form in the first place, what are the things that must be there for a form to be considered as a good form. Okay, so these are something that I'm just going to do. So in just about 5 minutes or so, allow me just to explain some of the things that are very cardinal when it comes to form design before we can actually go to playing around with this form. So I'm trying to keep this video just under 30 minutes so that we can share some knowledge together. Okay, so I'll begin with the first thing that we're supposed to do. May I just use PowerPoint to illustrate or to type out some stuff so that people, some of our accents, some people cannot get what I'm saying. uh, some people cannot get what I'm saying, but let me just say key features. Um, okay, so key features of a well-designed, okay, a well-designed form. Okay, this is what we are looking for. What are some of these key features of a well-designed form? Okay, so number one, so a well-designed form must be simple. Okay, it must be simple. You must keep it simple. If you're using any questions must be clear. Okay, questions must be clear. And this is very, very important, guys. If you're going to use a form, for example, a form to capture information from people, let's say it's a survey you are conducting and you want people to answer, to give you information based on the questions that you ask them. Okay, you must keep your questions simple and your questions must be clear. If you don't distinguish these two, you find that one, you get complex answers which will even confuse you, the user. Which will even confuse you, the user, and you won't even know exactly what this person is talking about. Okay, so you must have simple form. Okay, simple questions so that you don't get complicated answers or mixed answers. At least people, when they talk, people differ the way they understand things and the way they interpret things. And so you find that if your form is kind of vague, they'll give different answers, you know I remember when I was in university, my lecturer once told us a story in class. He said, he was talking about questionnaires and how you must be clear when when designing questionnaires. Okay, so he said that there was in his time there was somebody who designed some questionnaire, and he had given the questionnaire to somebody. I think he distributed the questionnaire to couple of people, but this questionnaire landed into somebody who um, kind of misunderstood the questionnaire, so to say, because the instructions were not clear. So he reached a point where he found where it was written, like where the person was collecting personal details like name, age, and stuff. So there's that part where it goes like name, then you put first name first, last name, then goes age, and then it's supposed to go gender. Now, where the part was supposed to go for gender, this guy had put sex, like that. And so this guy, so under the place where this guy was supposed to answer, he just wrote yes please. Yes, please. Because to this guy, he thought they were asking him. Could have been like this. He thought this guy was like, "Do you want some sex or anything?" So, guys, vague questions actually they mislead people, and they make people to really give wrong answers. And imagine you distribute your questionnaire to 100 people, and only to return every part where you say in sex, they're returning yes please instead of male or female. Okay, so it's supposed to be male or female. Okay, and again, if you design your questionnaire very well, you find that some people, rather even your form, you may expect just people to write M or F. But if you don't really give them the instruction to say, hey, I'm expecting M or F on this form, you find people who write something like this, female. And maybe your database doesn't allow them to type the word female like that, but just a representation of F, because it is the field only accepts one character. So this is why I'm saying your your questions must be clear. Okay, they must be simple and clear and straightforward. Okay, so there must be proper instructions on how to fill in the form. Okay, there must be proper instructions on how to fill in the form. Okay, that's very important. Okay, the other thing that you need to do is to group similar fields together. Okay, you must group similar fields together. What this helps is that at least the person will have idea of like the information is going to flow sort of in logic. Okay, what this is that, let's say this part is for personal information, and then this part is going to be for maybe academic achievement and stuff. So we don't want someone to write academic achievement and then to be asked a name here, and then to be asked what was your qualification, and then to be asked here how old are you. You find that this stuff is kind of jumbled together. The information is jumbled together. So we need similar fields to be together. If you're talking about academic information, group those fields together. Let them start at some point. If you're talking about personal information, group that together as well. Let it start at some point. Okay, so that is very important as you do that. So the next thing that you're supposed to look at is that your form should have a proper title. Okay, let me just say proper or clear title. Okay, that's very important. There's no need to emphasize this. I mean, when I just see a form on the screen, I mean, I should know what it is all about. It should show me the title. This is why you find even in PowerPoint they say click to add title, because they want on your presentation at least to have a title. Okay, then number 4, your form should have let me, for lack of better term, let me call them white spaces, because that's what we call them in programming. But what these are is that what this means is that um, between one line and the other there should be clear space. Your information should not be too cluttered. Okay, should not be too close together so that it's becomes impossible to read. Okay, like the Nigerians say, it shouldn't be impossible. Impossible and can't now put together to emphasize that it shouldn't be that way. So it shouldn't be impossible. Yeah, it shouldn't be impossible to read your information. Okay, so you need to space one line between there should be enough space between one line and the other, one text box and the other, one label and the other. There should be enough space so that the information is not overlapping. Okay, so in programming we call that white spaces. Okay, and then you should have also proper navigation. Proper navigation. Okay, you should have proper navigation. So when you have proper navigation, means I shouldn't struggle to move from one form or one record to the other. I should find it easy actually to navigate from one form or one record going to the other. Okay, so that is proper navigation. How is your form able to help me move around? I mean, is it easy for me to find the instructions? Is it easy for me to access the objects that I'm looking for? Okay, so the other thing that you need to use is use of drop down menus, radio buttons. um, all these, they are very helpful and very powerful tools when it comes to deal with forms, in that instead of having data cluttered on one place, you can actually decide to put it in a drop down menu, so that when the user clicks there, you see that, like for example, this is a drop down menu. Okay, we don't see anything cluttered here, but imagine if the list was just like this and we had to select from any of these options here, and this was the default. When you just run this program or this form, it just appears like this. I mean, it would look weird. Okay, then you have to scroll down all the way and stuff, and it was just like that. No, but the drop down menu makes it easy. It looks neat like this. Okay, looks neat. Okay, so you use of drop down menus when you have multiple options that the user can select from is a very powerful feature that you can use and incorporate in your in your in your in your form. Yeah. Okay, and the use of radio buttons or option buttons, as they are called in Access. Okay, these are also known as option buttons or option buttons. Okay, in Access. Okay, I'll show you really. I think we'll create one option button, not one option, but we create some option buttons where a user can select button. They look sort of like bullet points, but you really have to click on them to check one of them and select. Okay, you can only select one at a time. Okay, they're not like check boxes where you can check, and but you can use check boxes as well on your forms. They are also powerful features that can allow you to use check boxes. Okay, if especially if the user has to select two or more options, then you can consider using a check box. Okay, so without wasting much of the time, I just say this is going to take just about 5 minutes or so. The last thing that maybe I can put there is enough space for field names. Okay, so these guys cannot be overemphasized. You need to estimate how much space you need for each field name. Let me go back here to Access. How much space do I need for this field? Okay, so it's pointless for me if I would need a long field. If I'm going to need a very wide field, and then it's going to hold data that is just minimal, or I'm going to use a very small field, and then data that is going to be there is going to be too much, that it overlaps and stuff. Okay, so you need to design. That's why in Access they put this one, because once you type in whatever you type, it automatically adjusts to suit that. Okay, but in some cases, some programs, you don't always find the fields enlarging. Like this one doesn't enlarge automatically. The student ID, you will see that once you just type, some data will be hidden, and then you won't be able to see the data. And that's what we are avoiding when you talk about good features of a well-designed form. Okay, so you should have enough space for each field name. Okay, so guys, I'm gonna stop here for a moment on the key features, and go back to Access so that we can we can do something with our form here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is to try to incorporate some of these ideas that are there, like the questions must be simple, clear instructions must be there and stuff, and then similar groups together, white spaces put there, proper navigation. If there's need for drop down menus, like I said, I'm going to use radio buttons, not necessarily drop down menu, but I will use a radio button and stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here to my access. Okay, so let's start first of all with some editing of the title. The title should really stand out and should be so let me just go back to design view. The title should stand out, which means it should be clear, visible. It should be the color should be good. So let me pick up a color that is standing out. Let me say red. This is the background. Sorry, just undo. So just select the label like that, and then under property, and then just this is the background color. That's the one that I actually changed, but you can also change from here, which is the text color. Okay, and you see it is red, and this is the background color. This part also, the form header has got properties. Okay, so you see here it's saying form header. When you click outside this box, you have properties of the form header. When you click here inside the text box, you have inside the label rather, you have here, it will show you property sheet, selection type, label. If you click there, it will show property sheet, selection type, section, and then it shows form header. Okay, so when you're told to maybe say change the form header, the background color, or whatever, just change the background color to whatever color it is being required of you. I'm going to change this color to make it a little bit some blue. Okay, like that. Okay, and then I want to change also the font for this. I want to make it a little bit bigger, so I'm going to select that and go to make it maybe 28. Yeah, 28. So the moment I made it 28, you see that my text is not properly visible. So if I go to home and go to view and form view, you see that my student is visible, but database is not visible. Okay, so I need to go back to design and at least drag this somewhat there, and then it's going to be visible. Okay, so text align, I want this text to be aligned at the center, so I'll say align center. Now center doesn't mean that this text is going to be aligned at the center of the form. No, it is aligned the center of the label. Okay, which means the distance from there to there and the distance from there to there. That's what this means. Okay, so don't confuse that. Right, so the next thing that probably want to do, let me go back to, okay, so the other thing that I want to do, you notice that this one first name is kind of a little bit high. I want to bring it down. Okay, though let me see. Okay, it should be fine. I was trying to bring it a little bit down, but the control is just showing both of them have to move together. Okay, so in that case, then I have to move student a little bit up, because I want the gaps between first name, last name, whatever, to be consistent, because student ID and first name, they're just too close to each other. So what I'm gonna do is just to push a little bit, which one is that, student ID, just push it a little bit up. Okay, so let me just select that and push it a little bit up. Okay, yeah, that should be fine. Let me just preview it and see how it's appearing. Okay, yeah, that should be fine. There is enough space now between student ID, first name, last name, and so on. Remember the white spaces we are talking about, and this is how you are implementing some of these key features that we are talking about. So this is white spaces. Let me just put it in red. It is done. Proper and clear title, we just did that. It is done. Okay, and then proper navigation. So let's come back here and I show you the navigation for for access. So the navigation for the records is just down at the bottom here. Okay, as you move across, different records and different values are going to be shown there. So you can point, maybe you can even put an arrow down here pointing downwards for the people. It says for navigation purposes, click the buttons below and stuff. I mean, it's just guiding people to say this is what you want, this is what should be there, or this is where they should click in order to achieve this or to do that. Okay, so that's very important as well. Okay, so navigation is down here. So navigation, we don't have an issue. I'll just put it in red as well. So the next thing that we want to do is to create some field. So enough space for field names, we don't have a challenge with this. There's already enough space. And then simple questions, and they must be clear, proper instruction on how to fill the form. That's what we want to do. So you can't just put a form like this. I mean, okay, people who have filled forms, they will know, oh, here I'm supposed to put in a new ID and stuff. Suppose we want to add a new record at the end there. It just starts like student ID, first name, last name, English, maths, science. You can fill the first three very well. But the last three, what is English? What is maths? What is science? We don't know what these are. So you need to have proper instructions so that people can really understand what you're trying to talk about. Okay. So this is where this option comes in. Simple questions must be clear. Proper instructions on how to fill the form. Okay. So that is very important. So I'm gonna go back to my design view, and we're going to put some instructions for people to follow as they do that. So we're going to just change some things. Okay, so under label here, what I want is to we're going to put some questions, sort of, let's say enter student ID. Okay, let's say enter student ID. It makes sense. Somebody knows that, hey, I'm supposed to enter student ID there. Then the other one, I'm gonna say enter first name. Makes sense. And then this one, enter last name. Or alternatively, you can say what is your last name and put a question there. What is your last name? Okay, even this one here, you can say what is your first name. What is your first name? The essence is to have the instructions as clear as possible so that people can really give consistent answers. Otherwise, if the instructions are not clear, it will be like the story that my lecturer told me about. Okay, they'll give you funny answers. Okay, so what is your student ID? Okay, and then here, English. What I want here is for them to give me the first name, or the first three letters, not the first, the initials of the three initials or three initial letters of their their teachers. Okay, their teachers' names. For example, let me say my names are Evans Mulumba Chikasa, like that. Okay, so under staff here, like where I'm working, we are recognized by our initials. So if you say EMC, not EMN, EMC, you don't even need to say Evans Mulumba Chikasa. Just by saying EMC, whether it's a letter addressed to anybody, when there's just EMC, people know that they're referring to me. Okay, so it's very important that these instructions are there. Okay, from the initial, when I joined my organization, I had to learn that actually here they deal with initials and stuff, and it's very easy actually in databases to put initials than to put the full name like Evans Mulumachika, because it occupies a lot of space, and you find that by the time you get 600 people in the database, it is going to be a large file. But short names like that is just going to be making the work easy. So what you do is you give them clear instructions. Okay, so ask them, for example, who is your teacher, let's say teacher of English? Okay, who is your teacher of English? Okay, so automatically you will see that this field actually has is longer than usual, okay, than the other one, in other words. So you need to resize the fields. Okay, this is where it comes in, that you need to resize the fields, that data should fit there. So I'm gonna resize the fields later. Let me just do that for mathematics as well. Who is your teacher of mathematics? Who is your teacher of science? Okay, so who is your teacher of math? And then this one, let me put a question mark at the end so that they know it's a question. And then here I'm gonna say, who is your teacher of science? Now, it's very important here that proper instructions are given. Okay, and I'll explain why in just a short while. But let me just resize these so that I hope I can drag them this side. So select them and just drag them that side. Okay, okay, so that fits. Okay, and then just a little bit yeah, just drag them a little bit. Okay, that should be fine. I don't want them to protrude and uh, get out of line there. Let me just preview this. Okay, yeah, that should be fine. Okay, that should be fine. There's enough space here, and yeah, that should be fine. But the next thing that we're supposed to do, guys, is there's no proper instruction here. I mean, uh, let's say I want people to enter. Let's go back first of all to the design view, to the form view rather, and check out some of the records that are contained. For example, who is your English teacher, EMB? Who is your teacher of math, BKM? Who is your teacher of science, CLL? Okay, there are three letters that have been accepted by the system. Okay, and when you just go under form view and then you go to insert blank, and then you come to this part, who is your teacher of English? I'll write Mr. Jackson, or um, Mr. Jackson, let's say Jackson Perry, because there's no proper instruction to tell me that, hey, you don't need to say Mr. Jackson Perry. What is required of you here is to say JP, maybe JPP or JPK, whatever. Okay, so there's no proper instruction which is telling me that what is expected is only 3 characters or 4 characters or whatsoever. Okay, so we need to put some simple instruction there. Okay, so it's showing me that it cannot be now value. It's because we put something there. Okay, I hope this won't be an issue when you try to go to design view. Otherwise we would need to put in a value. Since we are tempted to put in values and stuff. Okay, so just for the sake of getting away this, let me just put 11 and first name, let's go for Tim. Last name, let's go for Goshe. And teacher of English, let's go for KMP. And math teacher, let's go for KLJ. And then science teacher, TIZ. Now I've just guessed. I mean, there's no proper instruction to tell me that, just for the sake of getting away with this error, so that we move on. Otherwise, we were not going to get past that error, because we attempted to type something and then it did not accept that. So we now have 11 records. If you check in your database, it should reflect 11 records now. Okay, 1 out of 11. Okay, there should be 1 out of 11. So that is that. So what we're going to do now is to put in some instruction just underneath here, which is going to tell the person to say, hey, enter only 3 initials, or the instruction can be put just at the end there, which tells them to say only initials for the teacher is required. Okay, so that is very important for us to understand. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to design view, and so for the sake of clarity, I want to put the instructions just at the right side of the text there. Okay, so I'm gonna just um, reduce the size of this text box. Okay, select it, select this one as well, select this one as well, and then drag this all the way down here, and just highlight it nicely. I want to resize this. Okay, and resize this one as well to fit this, because they are initials, they won't occupy a lot of space. Okay, so resize that, and then make this a little bit rather this one a little bit large, and then I need just to put in now labels that are going to explain the instructions that supposed to put in this form. So now I just have some little problem with where I am right now. I just lost my power, and so it's gonna be a little bit disturbing or inconveniencing for me to continue recording the video. But what I'm gonna do is that I'll continue. I'll put up another part of this video when when power is restored. But in the first part, I'm just going to upload this same video, and in the next part, I'm gonna continue from here, from the same video. I'll save up this thing, and then we're going to start from here, and then it will be in part 2 of this video. So for the sake of keeping up consistencies, I'll save this video as it is, and then we'll pick it up from here. So I'm sorry about that, and in a short while you'll be able to get the second part of this video in a short while. But I'm sure even time has gone. I've used already 46 minutes in this video, so it's just good that I end it now so that I don't use too much time. So I'm gonna save this, and I'll resume later on. So I'm gonna pause the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.